Hello, dear gamers and Silent Hill fans. Today, I'm here to talk about a game that marks a return to the main series after a full 13 years and surprised everyone: Silent Hill F. This game is the fruit of Konami realizing their mistakes with Western-developed projects and handing the series reins back to Japanese creators. Silent Hill F blends the classic psychological horror of the series with the profound depths of Japanese folklore. In this video, I will offer a comprehensive review of the game. The script will be divided into two main sections. 1. Spoiler-free section. I will discuss the game's overall atmosphere, its core theme, gameplay mechanics, and my general impressions. I will summarize what you can expect without delving into specific plot details. 2. Spoiler-filled section. This part will uncover all the game's mysteries, multiple endings, and the deep meanings and symbolism behind the characters and creatures. If you have not finished the game yet and want to avoid having all the surprises ruined, I strongly advise you to pause the video when I transition to the spoiler section. If you're ready, let's start with our spoiler-free overview. In our minds, Silent Hill has always been a gloomy, foggy American town, with American characters like James and Mary and the horror series inspired by American films. However, Silent Hill F radically breaks this mold. What we have is a production steeped in Japan from start to finish. Japanese characters, a Japanese town, Japanese culture and mythology. It's a fresh start, vastly different from what we are used to. I've finished the game and I'm ready to share my thoughts with you. The most crucial part of Silent Hill games has always been the story. The story of Silent Hill F is so layered and complex that I cannot summarize it for you here. Talking about it without spoilers is next to impossible, but in the simplest terms I can say this. The story takes you on a journey into the inner world of a young girl named Hinako, who has family, friends, and several personal life problems. The first few hours of the game are confusing, but the narrative gradually draws you in. A constant veil of mystery exists. Who are these masked men? Why do the characters treat us like the dead? The game presents the story to you in small puzzle pieces, notes, cutscenes, and dialogues. The deep layered narrative that emerges when you put these pieces together is truly worthy of applause. It's a psychologically profound story, much like Silent Hill 2, where nearly everything you see holds a meaning. However, I do have one criticism regarding the storytelling. The game forces you to replay it multiple times to fully grasp the entire narrative. New notes and scenes unlock with each playthrough. You find the final puzzle pieces on your second or even third run. Silent Hill F, like other entries in the series, has 4 or 5 different endings, but the ending you get on your first playthrough is fixed. The other endings unlock afterwards. While this tactic might work in a visual novel, I don't think repeatedly forcing the player to finish a survival horror game is a pleasant experience. I saw some comments stating, "This game isn't Silent Hill because it's not set in Silent Hill Town." Friends, for nearly 20 years, the Silent Hill series has focused on psychological horror rather than the town itself. Silent Hill is no longer just a place. It is the external manifestation of a character's internal mental struggles, psychological issues, and repressed emotions. Silent Hill F fits this definition perfectly and is entirely a Silent Hill game. When we move to the gameplay section, I must state unequivocally that the game's weakest link is the combat system. To be frank, this part is a complete disappointment. The combat, which fundamentally boils down to a light attack, a heavy attack, and an almost useless focus attack, remains incredibly shallow. The focus mechanic barely registered its presence for the first 5 hours of the game. Furthermore, the dodge mechanic feels oddly frantic and out of place, making it seem like you are playing a fast-paced action RPG rather than a survival horror title. Most of our strikes fail to generate any feedback or reaction from enemies. It feels as though we are hitting the air. This disconnect makes the fights both unsatisfying and ineffective. Adding insult to injury, the over-the-top ultimate-like power modes that suddenly activate during otherworld sequences, completely unsuitable for the series' melancholic psychological atmosphere, further break the cohesion. Beyond the system's shallowness, the enemy repetition escalates to a frustrating degree towards the end of the game. The already limited range of enemy models, when coupled with the necessity of slaying the same foe for the 100th time, transforms the battles from merely tedious to utterly exasperating. Puzzles, an essential component of any Silent Hill game, are an absolute double-edged sword here. This section either provides moments of masterfully designed brilliance or simply feels like a waste of time. For instance, the clever ciphers where we match letters to numbers, or the segments where we try to extract meaning from the scarecrows in the rural areas, successfully capture the classic mental challenge spirit of the series. These moments were genuinely satisfying. Unfortunately, the other half of the puzzles were so confusing and illogical that they were enough to make the player question the meaning of life, asking, "What am I doing here? Why am I spending my time on this?" This kind of inconsistency makes the puzzle experience uneven and occasionally disrupts the flow of the game. On the horror front, Silent Hill F is successful. It features cleverly placed jump scares that don't spoil the atmosphere. Compared to other modern Silent Hill games, the horror intensity is much higher. The music, as always, is fantastic under the lead of Akira Yamaoka and beautifully incorporates the Japanese theme this time. The 10-hour playtime is adequate, but the mandatory replayability can make it feel taxing. Overall, I liked Silent Hill F. Its story depth and psychological layers, in particular, make it a strong contender for one of the best in the series. If you appreciate psychological horror narratives where everything you see has a meaning, much like Silent Hill 2, I believe you will genuinely enjoy Silent Hill F. If you have not finished the game or want to avoid having all its mysteries spoiled, I strongly advise you to skip this section. Now we dive deep into all the details of Silent Hill F and Hinako's fate. It's time to delve into the depths of the game. Silent Hill F merges the series' classic psychological dread with the profoundness of Japanese folklore. The story revolves around Hinako Suzumi, a high school student trapped between societal pressures, traditional gender roles, and individual freedom in rural 1960s Japan. The story is not a straightforward horror tale. It deals with themes like repressed desires, identity conflict, and social oppression. Hinako is crushed between her family's expectations, marriage and being an obedient wife, and her own longing for freedom. The flowers everywhere in the game, their blooming, rotting, and spreading, are metaphors for Hinako's inner dissolution, emotional wounds, and confusion. Red flowers, in particular, symbolize both innocence and passion and pain. The fox, in Japanese culture, the fox represents both cunning and spiritual guidance. However, the masks in the game serve as a curtain hiding Hinako's true identity and symbolize the role imposed upon her. Her family, especially her mother and Katoek, who represents the pressure to marry, signify the bondage forced upon Hinako. The other world, Hinako's frequent shifts into the other world reflect her gradual confrontation with her fears. Initially destructive, this world becomes more controlled as Hinako's internal state calms down later in the game. Shu appears not just as an external character, but also as an internal guide and supporter. The medicine and advice he gives help the player understand Hinako's mental state. Kubi appears as the town's guardian deity, but is actually a controlling and oppressive figure. He completely disregards Hinako's desire for a free life. Silent Hill F features 3 main endings that are thematically strong, all revolving around whether Hinako can choose her own destiny. Each solution to Hinako's conflict comes with a price. This is considered the bad ending. Hinako accepts the fate imposed by her family, forced marriage and submission, and the control of Kubi, the town's guardian deity. She rejects Shu's help. Hinako gives up hope and freedom, becoming a faceless bride, meaning she loses her identity and will. This ending alludes to the fox wedding legend in Japanese folklore. This ending showcases Hinako's stand against the fox masks and Kubi, who attempts to control her. Hinako rejects Kubi's controlling vision and chooses her own path with Shu. Hinako gains her freedom, but Kubi's defeat causes geysers to erupt in the Ebisogoka region, and the townspeople are evacuated. The region loses its protector. This ending symbolizes gaining freedom but losing a communal and geographical balance. The most satisfying ending. Hinako confronts her past, family, and the curse upon her, resolves her internal conflicts, and chooses her own path. Hinako confronts and merges with her inner second self, the embodiment of her repressed anger, desire for freedom, and inner strength. She engages in a final psychological and spiritual battle against the gods using the sacred sword. This battle signifies breaking the chains of the past, disregarding the expectations of the Fox clan, and living by free will. Hinako returns to Ebisogoka with an emancipated self, capable of making her own decisions. This is the traditional joke ending of the Silent Hill series. Independent of the main story, this ending involves aliens and comical references, serving as a humorous alternative. It is triggered by finding a hidden radio in a narrow alley in the south of the village and looking at the UFO posters in the correct order. Silent Hill F is a unique game that creates its own Silent Hill, merging the complexity of the characters' inner turmoil with the aesthetics of Japanese folklore. Hinako's story is not just about survival, but about the process of gaining identity, liberation, and finding her own voice. Thank you for watching the video up to this point. I'll see you in the next video.